Today, Sayadaw will explain how Udayabbaya jnana arises. Sayadaw will explain from both theoretical and practical aspects. So in the text, it explains that by discerning, arising and passing away, the three characteristics also become obvious to the yogi. The manner of passing away after it has arisen is anicca lakkhana, characteristic of impermanence. The manner of constantly tormenting by arising and passing away is dukkha lakkhana, characteristic of suffering. Things are not arising due to atta, due to the order of atta, that they are arising in their own accord, and it is anatta lakkhana, characteristic of non-self. By noting the object with aim and effort, when the noting mind was calm and collected on the object that has been noted, one comes to discern the true nature. Discerning the true nature, one also discerns the dissolution of the object. When one discerns the dissolution of the object, one also understands that it is impermanent. So, seeing the object comes to dissolution after it has arisen, one comes to discern the anicca lakkhana, characteristic of impermanence. When one discerns arising and passing away of the object, the person not only discerns anicca lakkhana, but all three characteristics, anicca lakkhana, dukkha lakkhana and anatta lakkhana, become obvious to the yogi. So it is what is explained in Visuddhimagga, Athagata, and yogi can combine from their experience. When one sees the arising and passing away of the object, seeing the beginning and the end of the object, when the arising and passing away is clear to the yogi, the characteristics of impermanence also become obvious to such yogi. When heat arises, one should note it as hot, hot. Noting it as hot, one sees the arising of the heat, and one also sees the dissolution of the heat. One sees the continuity of the heat. It is called sandati. So the heat arises as a continuity. Yogi sees the heat as the continuity as the heat arises and passes away, and it is called sandati anicca lakkhana. When the yogi sees the continuity of the heat arising and passing away. When the yogi observes carefully, the yogi sees that it is not only a single heat, but to the yogi who is bright, the yogi sees that the heat arises and passes away. Old heat passes away, new heat arises and passes away. So in this way, yogi sees the arising and passing away of one heat after another, and it is called Sankhata Anicca. To yogis who are not bright, they see as Paṇḍitā Anicca. So they see the arising and passing away of the heat as a continuity. To the yogis who are bright, they see Sankhata Anicca. They see that one heat arises, passes away, another heat arises, passes away. In this way, the yogi sees arising and passing away of one heat after another. Sayadaw gives an example. When one looks at a row of termites from a distance, one sees it as a line. But as the person takes a closer look, the person sees 2 or 3 ants moving. And taking a closer look, the person sees each and individual ant, each and individual termite moving. So in this example, seeing 3 or 4 termites moving is compared to Paṇḍitā Anicca. Seeing each and individual termite moving is compared to Sankhata Anicca. In order to discern Sankhata Anicca, one needs to observe the object with aim and effort. And when Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, becomes continuous, one sees that the object that has been noted arise and pass away. Yogi discerns arising and passing away very clearly. When the yogi discerns the arising and passing away of the object very clearly, anicca lakkhana, the characteristic of impermanence, will become obvious to the yogi. So seeing the arising and passing away of the nama rupa, anicca lakkhana characteristic of impermanence will become obvious. When or because of anicca lakkhana become obvious to the yogi understands that the nama rupa are impermanent. Because the nama rupa are impermanent, the impermanent nama rupa are dukkha, suffering. As the yogi sees suffering in the nama rupa as they are impermanent, yogi also comes to understand that it is anatta, non-self. There is no atta in these nama rupa, and the nama rupa themselves are not atta. So in this way, by discerning any one of the 3 characteristics, one automatically discerns the other 2. And Sayadaw gives the example, a person having 3 names. So in the same way, the nama rupa are called anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So these nama rupa have the 3 names, anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So by seeing dukkha, one discerns nama rupa, and one automatically discerns anatta and also anicca. So, in the example, when one sees a person who has the three names, if one knows that person by one name, it is said that the person is known. In the same way, when one discerns anicca, one automatically understands and discerns dukkha and anatta. So in this way, these nama rupa, which are arising as cause and effect, are anicca, dukkha and anatta. So these nama rupa have these three names. So by being mindful of these nama rupa, one discerns arising and passing away. So the yogi also sees the beginning and the end of the object. Objects arise freshly new and come to dissolution. Coming to dissolution after it has arisen is called anicca lakkhana, characteristic of impermanence. When one sees or when one discerns the characteristic of impermanence, one also understands that the arising and passing away are constantly tormenting, and thus it is suffering. And also, these objects arise and pass away due to arising and passing away takes place in its own accord. So nobody is creating the object to arise and pass away. So it is said that things arising in their own accord, not with the wish of a creator, it is anatta lakkhana, characteristic of non-self. So in order to discern them, one should be mindful at the moment of arising. In the beginning of the practice, it will be difficult to discern anicca lakkhana, characteristic of impermanence. In the beginning, it is even difficult to discern anicca, impermanence. But as the yogi notes continuously on the presently arising object, the yogi discerns hardness, softness, congealing, fluidity, warmth, heat, cold, stiffness, tension. By noting every arising object, such as seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, rising, falling, lifting, moving, placing, and so on. As the yogi notes these objects, yogi sees the arising and passing away of these objects. When one discerns arising and passing away of the object, one discerns samanya lakkhana, the common characteristic. Seeing the unique individual characteristics, one discerns anicca, impermanent. Seeing the arising and passing away of the object, discerning the arising and passing away of the object, one is said to discern anicca lakkhana, characteristics of impermanence. So when one discerns arising and passing away of the object, one sees the udaya, the arising or the beginning of the object, and vaya, dissolution or the end of the object. So in this way, seeing the dissolution of the object, one discerns anicca lakkhana, characteristic of impermanence. Yogi sees the arising of the object and dissolution of the object. When the yogi sees a group of the similar materiality arising and passing away, one sees it as Paṇḍitā, continuity, and one sees them arise and pass away. From the stage of Samasana Jnana, the yogi begin to discern the arising and passing away of the object. Yogi gradually discerns the arising and passing away at the stage of Samasana Jnana. As the bhavana, mental development practice, becomes stronger and stronger, more and more energized, when the noting becomes concurrent and effective, when the mindfulness is strong, yogi sees fast arising and passing away in a very clear and precise manner. So at this stage of Udayabbaya Jnana, yogi discerns fast arising and passing away of the object. In the stage of Samasana Jnana, yogi discerns arising and passing away, but in a slow manner. In the stage of Udayabbaya Jnana, yogi discerns the arising, fast arising and passing away. Yogi sees complete flush of these objects, discerning fast arising and passing away. So this happens because yogi's mindfulness becomes stronger, and thus knowledge becomes stronger, bright, clear-cut, and precise. So Sayadaw gives an example: when cutting fruits with a very sharp knife, it is cut very sharply. In the same way, at the stage of Udayabbaya Jnana, the way yogi discerns fast arising and passing away of the object becomes very clear and very precise. So at this stage, the jhanic factors are present. When noting the rising and falling of the abdomen, one aims and directs one's noting mind towards the object. Aiming, directing is one of the jhanic factors. In order that the noting mind should be direct or face to face with the object, yogi has to aim his or her noting mind towards the object. As the yogi becomes skillful in the practice, the noting mind becomes automatically concurrent with the object, and the noting mind rubs onto the object that has been noted, so that the noting becomes effective and one becomes certain with the object. Sayadaw gives an example: when a player plays marble, when the marble hits the target, the player feels joy, satisfaction, calmness. In the same way, when the yogi notes the object with aim and effort, when the noting mind hits the target, the object of meditation, the yogi feels joy, satisfaction, calmness, tranquility of the mind. So, Vipassana jhana arises in the jhanic factors, Vitakka, initial application, Vichara, sustained application, Piti, joy, Sukha, happiness, and Ekaggata, one-pointedness of the mind, arises. And yogi should note the object with aim and effort. When the noting mind hits the target, the object of meditation, when the noting is effective, yogi feels joy and satisfaction, and yogi also experiences comfort, collectedness of the mind, one-pointedness of the mind. When the yogi discerns fast arising and passing away of the object, yogi even feels more joyous and more satisfied. Udayabbaya jnana, knowledge into fast arising and passing away, there are two stages. The first stage of Udayabbaya jnana is taruna, the tender stage of Udayabbaya jnana. And the other one is palava, the mature stage of Udayabbaya jnana. At the mature stage of Udayabbaya jnana, one experiences illumination, brightness, and also at this stage, the knowledge becomes bright, precise, and one also feels joy, satisfaction. Both the mind and the body become tranquil. There is comfort in both in the mind and the body. And also one comes to resolution, decision that this practice is correct. At this stage, the effort becomes courageous, diligent effort called bhagaha, assertion of the effort. And sati, mindfulness, become firmly established on the object. Upatthana, firmly established on the object. So at this stage, there is much comfort. One does not have to deliberately look for the object, but it seems that the noting becomes quite automatic and the noting mind becomes concurrent with the object. So at this stage, the practice seems very smooth and comfortable. So at the stage of Udayabbaya jnana, these 10 things arise and they are called Vipassanupakilesa, imperfections or impediments of Vipassana. Among these 10, the last one, Nikandi, the subtle attachment, is the true imperfection. The text mentions who are the ones who does not develop the 10 imperfections of Vipassana, and who are the ones who develop these 10 imperfections of Vipassana. The first one is Pativeda, Pachasa, Ariya Savakasa, meaning a noble person who had attained supramundane knowledge by practicing systematically. Such kind of noble person who had already attained supramundane knowledge will not develop the 10 imperfections of insight. The second one is a person who practices meditation in an easygoing manner, haphazardly. The person is not on the correct path of Vipassana. The person who does not practice respectfully, thoroughly, who just observe the object, labeling just as merely reciting. Such kind of yogi who does not practice respectfully, meticulously, thoroughly, is the person who is not on the correct path of Satipatthana, and such kind of yogi does not experience 10 imperfections of insight. The third one is the yogi who is stopping in the middle, the yogi who is stopping to practice. Even if the yogi practices, yogi is satisfied with citta visuddhi, purification of the mind, or the yogi is just satisfied with discerning mind and matter, cause and effect, and the yogi does not practice further as she is stopping with the practice. So such kind of yogi does not experience the 10 vipassanupa kilesa. And the fourth kind is kusita person, lazy, indolent person. When practicing Satipatthana meditation, the high-class practice that can uplift the person, as the yogi does not exert sufficient effort in the practice to rectify oneself, to fill up what is lacking, as the yogi fails to practice Satipatthana meditation every single second, the Satipatthana meditation that can give guarantee in life, as the yogi fails to exert effort in the high-class Satipatthana practice that can give guarantee in life, yogi becomes, he or she becomes disgusting, not exerting effort in the practice. Such lazy, indolent person is called kusita, as the person is being blamed and cursed by others, such as lazy, useless, indolent person. So he, she is called kusita. And hina viriya, the person's effort is slack, and thus he, she does not develop the 10 kinds of vipassanupa kilesa. When one practices, one should assert all 3 stages of effort: arambha dhatu, initial effort; nikkama dhatu, stepped up effort; and culminating effort, parakama dhatu, culminating effort until one reaches one goal. All these 3 stages of effort should be asserted when practicing Satipatthana meditation. A lazy, indolent person will be wasting his or her time with wrongful thoughts, kama vitaka, sensual thoughts, and vyapada vitaka, ill will thoughts, wanting to destroy others, with aversion, hatred, wanting to torment others, it is vihimsa, vitaka. So in this way, lazy, indolent person will be wasting his or her time with wrongful thoughts. There is no essence in such lazy, indolent person, and thus lazy, indolent person will not be developing 10 kinds of Vipassana kilesa. On the other hand, the person who practices systematically by being mindful of every arising object, practicing respectfully, meticulously, thoroughly, with ardent effort, so that the noting will be effective, the noting mind will rub onto the object, the mind falls calm and collected on the object, and thus the person is on the straightforward path of Vipassana practice. A person who practices diligently with ardent effort, who practices from the time the person wakes up until one falls asleep, in this way, constantly developing ardent effort in the practice apart from sleeping hours, the person discerns mind and matter, cause and effect, arising and passing away, and thus yogi discerns fast arising and passing away. Such kind of yogi develop the 10 Vipassana kilesa by practicing systematically with ardent effort. The person who is not indolent, who asserts all the 3 stages of viriya, is called arata vipassaka. The person who has diligent effort. When noting rising and falling of the abdomen, one should initiate one's effort. Even though one may come across obstacles, one should not be lazy, but one should practice diligently. When coming across difficulties such as pain or having to note the object that one does not like, one should not withdraw, one should not flinch away from practice, but one should practice diligently with ardent effort without regard to one's body and life. Asserting with diligent effort, one can overwhelm laziness. Nikamata, one should assert boost up effort, step up effort in order to overcome laziness. And one should assert parakamata, culminating effort until one reaches one's goal. Asserting all these 3 stages of effort, one will be free from wrongful thoughts, micca vitaka, and one's body, speech and mind will be pure, clean, gentle and lovable, and it is one's true benefit and welfare. Sila, Samadhi, Panya are one's true benefit and welfare. Just as when one earns a good living, there will be good standard of living, one will be well-to-do. In the same way, by practicing Sila, Samadhi, Panya, which are one's own true benefit, one's body, speech and mind will be cultured, gentle, lovable, and one is said to be fulfilling one's true welfare and benefit. By practicing Sila Samadhi Panya, one is developing one's true benefit and one gains joy, satisfaction by one's own practice. Hina Viriya, the person who lacks effort, will be mixed with wrongful thoughts, and thus she is not developing one's own true benefit or welfare. Aratta Viriya, the person who has diligent effort, will be free from wrongful thoughts, and thus his or her body, speech and mind will become pure, clean, gentle, cultured by practicing according to the teachings. Being free from Mitta Vitaka, being free from wrongful thoughts, the person's body, speech and mind pure, clean, gentle, lovable, and thus illumination arises. The place where the yogi is sitting becomes illuminated, or at times there will be illumination in the whole building, and so on. The illumination can even take place in the whole universe. So it happens to the Buddha, not to ordinary person. But when the yogi discerns mind and matter, cause and effect, and also the characteristics of impermanent suffering and non-self, when the yogi discerns impermanent suffering and non-self, illumination arises. And when the yogi experiences illumination, yogi may misunderstand it as the super-mundane knowledge. If the yogi misunderstands it as the super-mundane knowledge, when experiencing illumination, yogi will not practice further, and thus it can become impediment to one's practice, and Saraji will continue to explain tomorrow. Sadhu, sadhu.